This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Back on the Northland Sports page, you couldn't get away from us either. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook. I hope you like us because there's a lot of us because all of our guests that we had planned today, we can't reach them. The internet's down here at the studio, which means our phone capabilities are down as well. So I don't want to keep continuing to harp on that, but I'm hoping that Topher Davis, Dave Hoops, and Justin May are all listening because we apologize to you. We will talk at another date.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of people running today, and Grandma's Marathon Day, and see all the runners still going by. We said it to start the show, Brian. The achievement that the people that are running past our building right now, the winners have been through an hour ago, right? But everybody that's going by our building right now is a winner. I'm sitting here on the radio with you, and I always tease you and say, the reason God invented cars was 26.2 miles and stuff. I have to tip my hat. I couldn't do this. I mean, I could if I trained for the next 2 years. Or
if they gave you that long to finish.
Or, they brought me down here to start with.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
But just the success and the energy and the discipline that it takes to do what these runners of all levels are doing today, it's just amazing.
No question about that. I want to give a shout-out to Dave Hoops, of course, because we have been texting with him. He did try to call us. That's when we knew things weren't working because not only can we not make, we also can't take calls. But we were excited to hear from Dave Hoops about his race. He said he ran a 2:06, 2 hours and 6 minutes. It went well, and he's looking forward to Hoopla next week, so are we.
See, that's when somebody says 2:06. That's why when I first got up this morning, I called you. I said, so Dave ran the half mile today. Now, for sure, when it says 2:06, that could be me.
That was awesome. When you said that to me in the elevator today as we were coming to the studio, you said, well, I'm excited to talk to Hoops about the half mile. I said, make sure you say half marathon because I'm pretty sure 6 blocks is a little bit different. I said, if it took him 2 hours and 6 minutes to do 6 blocks, did he crawl? And no sooner did the elevator door open than we saw a little kid crawling along the Holiday Center.
Really, shout out to Mom for letting Junior crawl around the Holiday Center.
Yeah.
Get the wipes.
I was going to say, that's sanitary risk.
Yes.
I'll just say that.
I don't want to do that.
But we love it here in the studio, and we love being able to bring you this show every Saturday. A little different time slot due to the marathon. We're here till 12:30. Started at, we'll say 10:30, but we really started about 23 after today. So a little bit longer show, our marathon show as well. We got a marathon list of sponsors, and I'd love to see it keep growing.
Absolutely. Let's start with the Blackwoods Group today because today is going to be busy for all of our restaurants and bars in the area. And if you're looking for a spot, Blackwoods has some really good spots. They have 26 there on London Road. The one in Proctor, they have one in Two Harbors if you're heading up the shore. Blackwater is right down next to the studio here. Goodness gracious, Blackwater going to be busy today. Tavern on the Hill, and then we also have Avenue 45. Mall Royal Bottle Shop, make sure that if you're looking for a little libation today.
I was going to say, there are adult beverages abound. If you don't want the party to stop, Mount Royal's got you covered.
Absolutely. Stewart Spike Sports and Trophies, Famous Dave's, another place if you're up in Hermantown and you're kind of done with the whole downtown thing today. Famous Dave's up in Hermantown. Kohler Toyota, Kohler Hyundai, once again, Aaron pulled me aside and he said, at some point, Dad,
you're headed there.
I need to do this.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to push him back a little bit to the fall, but the folks at Kohler Hyundai are going to make some money on the family here. Sammy's Pizza, if you're up in northeastern Minnesota and you're looking for a pizza on your race day at the end as a little reward. Yeah, Sammy's is the place, right? Advantage Emblem and Screen Printing. Kraus Heating and Cooling, your Carrier HVAC authorized dealer up here in northeastern Minnesota. Justin May, Messina & Associates. Normally we have Justin on. I read something today, Brian, or yesterday, that regardless of the interest rates, right, that housing sales, because interest rates have settled, not that they've gone down, but just because they're not unknown what they're going to be, housing sales have cranked up again. It'll be fun next week to talk to Justin about that. OAR Holdings, Hoops Brewing, and Arola Architecture Studio.
Arola Architecture Studio is the original. He's the OG. He was first on that wonderful list, but we bring him up last because we can do polar opposites. I've got a new last sponsor. They're our newest one, and it's ironic to me that I get to read this ad because every once in a while, sponsors will reach out to us and say, hey, thank you for the plugs that you do give us. You do a great job with that. And we appreciate that, but it's the least we can do because they're supporting us. Well, this past week, I heard from Comfort Systems and said, They said your ad for Comfort Systems, the way you read that, the way you phrased that, has been perfect. Thank you so much. Now, they didn't add how much business they got out of it either, but they did give me a little bit of kudos, which I appreciate. And it's ironic to me because we just got done talking about our dads, and we'll do that again at the end of the show. But my mom used to tell me, boy, Brian, I'm glad you have Dave do all the business ads and all that, especially during hockey games, because you do a lot of things well on the radio, but commercials is just not it. So at least with this one for Comfort Systems, I must be doing okay. But Comfort Systems can help you be doing better than okay. Simply sign up for a service appointment online and mention you heard it right here on the Northland Sports page. You can go online at comfortsystemsduluth.com and just mention again that you heard it from us here at the Northland Sports page. When you do, you'll get $20 off set appointment.
So the other, well, probably a month and a half ago, maybe even longer than that, one of Aaron's friends has purchased a house and was complaining about, I can't get this fixed and I can't get that fixed. And the look that crossed Dana's face. Now, people don't know Dana, but she speaks a lot with just her face and her...
She rode with us today. It was great.
There's a lot of eye roll. She's got the look down, right? And her response was simply, well, have you called Comfort Systems?
Right.
Not like there was any, hey, how about these 4 or 5 options, right? No, it was, have you called Comfort Systems? That should be like a tagline to all their advertising.
Right.
We got this and that and this and that.
And I will say this, we all have monthly expenses. We all have bills that we have to pay. And some are very easy and some are not. And it's not always the dollar amount that I'm talking about. It's just the simplicity to get things done. Man, Comfort Systems, the way they do business, they make everything so simple. I can't give them enough credit for that.
That's why it's fun that they're on here. All of our advertisers help you make something in your life simple.
And they're making our life as show hosts very simple.
Well, but think about it. The list we just read. I mean, if you've got something in their world, like they make your life really easy.
I can give you one example where one sponsor makes my life more difficult, and you'll probably laugh. Because I brought up, now if you don't laugh, I'll feel bad. Right. Yeah, just practice like that.
All right.
I was going to say, be over the top about it. Go ahead and guffaw if you'd like. But I talk about the distances that I walk during the summer because it's a point of pride for me, and quite frankly, it's a necessity too. I make fun of my own weight. It's not that bad. It's a form of self-deprecation for me. But walking does help in that regard as well. There's one challenge to that. You mentioned how good Sammy's Pizza is. I have about a 2-mile walking loop that I do very consistently in the Lakeside neighborhood. Part of that loop is right past Sammy's Pizza on 47th in Lakeside. Yeah. When you get to breathe in the aroma, I guess, as one of my dad's great friends would say, it's ambrosia coming out of Sammy's Pizza. And you're trying to walk for fitness, going, I got to eat healthier, I got to get in better shape, I got to do this, that, and the other thing, and you go, or I got to order a pizza right now.
I got to order Sammy's, you bet. The other one that's on here that we don't really talk enough about, I don't think, and that's Stewart's Bike Sports and Trophies. So the other day, that's
why you don't talk, you get choked up. Yeah.
The other day we were talking about some different swag for 2-and-8 trades.
Right.
And one of the things that Stewart's does, which is really, really cool, are those choppers. Right, so the winter gloves where they can actually etch in a logo, whether it be, they do a lot of sports teams, but the idea that you can provide, in our case, other, customers or whatnot, but your sports team, your whatever.
We need NSP choppers, baby.
Oh, that's a great example.
Right.
Head up and talk to Steve. Yeah, about the options.
Like Larry, Daryl, and Daryl.
Right, the opportunity. You just dated yourself. I
watch TV like it's 1989.
The options that they have to help connect your customers to the different sports. And let's be honest, Stewart's has been a part of Duluth for as long as I can remember. I remember being a little guy, and the only thing I wanted to do was play for Stewart's. And now buying at Stewart's is a big deal.
Absolutely. So great sponsors abound, one of which, of course, is our realtor at Messina & Associates, Justin May. Normally he's with us for this segment. We've given him some needling, if you will, about segments he's been unable to make. Today, this is 100% our fault or technology's fault. So we're going to go ahead and play buy or sell anyway.
Yes.
And here's the way the game goes. If you're new to it, first of all, where were you? But welcome. And how it goes is this. I'm going to give a statement about each of the 4 major sports leagues. MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. If you agree with my statement, you say buy, and you tell me why. If you disagree with my statement, you say sell, and you tell me why. Simply put, Justin May normally gives us his great opinion, and he's not shy about that, but he also has an order in which he likes to play. I will bestow that honor upon you today.
Well, let's start with baseball since we're going to spend a lot of time on that tomorrow. Let's just start with it now.
Okay, I was almost hoping, full disclosure, that this might be at the end, but everything kind of got thrown for a loop, so it's okay. With the lack of guests, we're doing everything out of order anyway. So with the contract structured the way it is, we know that this is very, very unlikely. But buy or sell that Rocco Baldelli should be on a hot seat?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
I think it's hard because to what level is he responsible or complacent in some of these injuries, right? Because it's really injury problem. But the thing is he had a really good first couple years, like amazing, really good first couple years. So his winning percentage is really high. But let's be honest, the last 2.5 years, he's been a .500 manager. So should he be on the hot seat? Yeah, probably. But so should the front office.
Okay. Now, this is the bummer when it's only you and I, because the worst radio is when one of us speaks and the other one goes, uh-huh. But I'll ask you a question, because you didn't answer mine. You gave a great argument. You didn't buy or sell. What are we saying?
So, because of my belief that churn is sometimes movement for movement's sake is worthless, I'm going to say sell, because I don't think you move on from Rocco without a plan. But ask me in 3 months.
Right. I'm going to sell as well, and I'm going to sell.
I put that buy on a tee for you.
But I'm going to sell for a reason that you brought up. I'm not saying that the Twins shouldn't ponder making some changes. But if you prioritize those changes, Rocco better be third. And Derek Falvey and Thad Levine better be on the list in front of him. Because whether or not he's their guy and they all go in one fell swoop, I don't know. But I would start with those two first. Because there needs to be some player accountability, yes, but there also needs to be accountability for the players that you've given said manager to work with. And I don't like the hindsight criticism of trades as a common practice, but we're getting to a point where you have to start to do a little bit of it. The Jorge Lopez trade, which I loved at the time, and that's why you make it. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I loved Jorge Lopez May 1st. Well, it's a joke now. I mean, it's awful.
The good news is you'll be here a few years. It's called the Pagan rule.
Right. The Pagan-Paddock trade. Now, Taylor Rogers really hasn't made much of himself either. So you can kind of shrug your shoulders at that one. But what did you get in Pagan and Paddock? A facepalm and an infirmary. Yep. So that hasn't worked out very well either. You can even go back to the Sam Dyson situation. At the time, it made sense. It was awful.
Yep.
I'm not going to sit and critique the Pablo for Luis deal because it's not a wash per se, but it's not as lopsided as everybody wants to make it out to be. So knock it off with that one. The Malley deal, not good. Yep. Okay? So the front office is trying to add pieces, and we're supposed to applaud that because previous ones didn't. But trying and failing needs to have some accountability too.
Yep. The one thing that I do want to say in their defense is that they were brought in to develop pitching, and I think we're seeing some of that. And so I think we do have to take a breath on they haven't developed pitching. Not all of it's turned out to be starters, but I mean, look at the guys that are up now. We got Ober, we got Varland, you got Simeons, Wood, Richardson, not too far away.
Yep.
You got, Duran, obviously, but you've got some of the other guys that aren't blowing things up in the boat. Griffin Jacks is a good example.
Let me ask you a quick question as a follow-up. Would the response be different if they weren't in the American League Central? Because
they'd be gone if they weren't in the American League Central.
I think they'd be a sliver ahead of the Red Sox, maybe tied. I haven't looked. I know the Red Sox walloped the Yankees last night, which please keep doing that, but I haven't looked closely. They'd be in third or fourth in the West, bottom feeders-ish in the East. National League, not much different. The Central's bad. The others are pretty good. If they were wasting away in a different division, even though the situation is the same in terms of personnel, you react differently.
Well, I think, what you said about the NL Central is true this year. But imagine last year, where everybody was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that, yes, 100% yes. That's the trick. They would have had to have been a lot more aggressive to stay, reasonably there. The thing is, if you look at what the Big Ten is doing and going divisionless, if baseball goes back to that, which there have been rumblings that they'll go to East and a West.
Let's just be honest, they need to.
that Twins team, depending on what side of that East or West split that they get,
they could be in real trouble. It would be very interesting. All right, Major League Baseball out of the way. Although, if you've noticed today on the show, we could talk about that for an extensive time period. Hence tomorrow's car ride to the Twins game. Go ahead.
All right, so we're going to finish with the NFL.
Okay,
so
I've been warned.
Let's go NHL.
All right, NHL. After 6 long years of struggling and heavy on the sarcasm, Vegas has won the Stanley Cup. And I saw memes, I saw signs, I saw videos of, we've been waiting 6 years for this. And I went, okay. So buy or sell that you're even capable of being happy for the fans in Vegas.
Wow, that's a really good question.
I'm on a roll today.
So I'm going to say sure, because you should be happy for that fan base.
So you're buying.
Yep, I'm buying. The guy I'm feeling most happy for is Jack Eichel, because there was
he might be the one I don't.
There was a point 2 years ago where his neck was broken.
Yeah.
And nobody thought he was ever gonna get back to where he was. Did he whine and pout his way out of Buffalo? Sure, get in line. He's not the first, nor will he be the last to do that. Did Buffalo ask for a ton for him that we couldn't afford? Yeah. But the fact that he's back and playing at the level that everybody hoped he was after an injury like that, I feel good for Jack Eichel. And so, yeah, I guess and I'm also really glad that Chuck wasn't available, because, if you're going to play on that edge and you're going to be dirty, well, if it costs you something, maybe next year you can still be aggressive but not be dirty.
I'm going to buy as well as you just did, but for a completely different reason, which will make for better radio than the baseball segment did, because we're so agreeable on that. For me, it's completely different. And I know where I live, and I know how important in the state of hockey said sport is. So I get the fact that there are Minnesota fans that are still grumbling, whether it's jealousy, whether it's bitterness, whatever it is about the expansion world is different now than it was then. And look at this team doing great, and Seattle on a fast track, and we toiled and kind of still are. I don't have that feeling. I guess what I do have is I'm happy for the fans in Vegas, because I feel like, and maybe this is naive of me, but when anything happens in Vegas, it's increasingly bigger of a deal. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Not really.
Yeah.
It becomes front page news for a lot of us. So I feel like of the major sports leagues, the NHL needs that. It is a distant fourth in the United States. Canada and globally, probably different. But overall, nobody's watching the Stanley Cup Finals compared to the NBA Finals, certainly, compared to the Super Bowl, maybe even compared to the World Series. We'll see. But the NHL is so very regional. Now, it's had better teams in non-traditional hockey markets, but I don't think anybody's been splashy enough, because, Tampa won it twice. Did anybody care? Carolina's been involved. Did anybody care? But you look at all of a sudden Vegas, and it's, wow, they're, watching the road games with that big pool party. A parade where guys can go shirtless, where, Stanley Cup Finals, yes, I know it's June, but some of the areas that you expect to win, it's still a little bit chilly. Vegas is a big party all the time. If you can bring a party atmosphere to the NHL and grow the game, as they like to say, I'm for it, because all of a sudden you could have more of a nationwide imprint here in the United States because Vegas did it.
Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense to me. And think about the fallout from Vegas winning. Phoenix probably isn't going to relocate to Hamilton.
Right.
It's probably going to relocate to Houston or Salt Lake City, because you're seeing the South supporting.
Here's what I'm curious about. Because Vegas has won it, this isn't like Florida, where you go, well, everybody living in Florida isn't from there. They all go there eventually at a certain age. When Vegas first came into the league, whoever they were playing had plenty of fans there, because everybody wants to go for obvious reasons. Now I want to know, with Vegas having won it, is it going to be harder to get a visiting team ticket than it used to be?
I don't think so.
I don't either, but I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I think so. If you just did by percentages, sure, but I don't think it's going to be drastic.
Not noticeable enough?
Right.
All right, 2 down, 2 to go.
Let's do the NBA.
All right. This one might be fun, or it might be really the worst one I came up with. I'm very curious. And I'm more curious because I'm just playing with you versus having Justin May here too. So the Denver Nuggets, I'll say, cruised to the NBA title. They made quick work of Miami, quicker work of the Lakers. You can say they struggled with Phoenix because it was 2-2 at one time, but I don't think that was a series either. And then we all know they opened the playoffs by eliminating the Timberwolves. Buy or sell that the Minnesota Timberwolves played them the best of anybody in the postseason?
100% buy. I really do. I think part of it is the matchup. Like, we can defend their two players because we have a defensive center, and if Jaden McDaniels stays healthy, I think it's even closer, right? We match up with a team that has two good players, two great players, because our two players that play against them, that was a really weird sentence, both play shutdown defense, right? The rest, I mean, the Lakers had a nice run in them. Miami had a great run in them. I would have loved to see Sacramento play against them, because I think Sacramento was hot in a way that could have given them a take. But yeah, I think the Wolves, gave them what they had, considering, the train wreck that the Wolves were. I think that says something.
I'm going to buy as well, even though the more I think about it, I shouldn't have, because Kevin Durant, Phoenix, and they had him, in an even series at one time at 2, which is, double being even at 1. It looks like a series when it's 2 apiece. But I do think the Timberwolves did play them the best, and here's why. I don't necessarily think that Denver had to exert too much energy to eliminate the Timberwolves, but I think Denver had to learn about their depth. Because, like you said, the Timberwolves did do a decent job on Jokic, on Murray, and they had to figure out, wow, Bruce Brown is a thing. Michael Porter Jr. was a big-time thing. All these role players that, the fans in Denver and the staff of Denver probably knew about, didn't know how much you could lean on them. Yep. You really could. And I think the Timberwolves, the word credit is weird to use here, but the Timberwolves get credit for that. Now, the only buy or sell I almost thought about doing but didn't was, if that's true, does it make you nervous that the Timberwolves are just simply going to try to run it back?
Oh, they will run it
right.
back. We're going to talk about...
We wanted all these dramatic changes. I don't think you're going to get them.
No, I don't. I mean, is it possible? Sure, but the Timberwolves will have to get blown away for an offer on Cat. I mean, that's...
Probably have to include an office.
The only thing that leads me a little bit is that they're going to be so cash-strapped in the next year or two that doesn't make sense to trade Cat. Not really. Does it make fiscal sense to trade Cat? It might. So I could see them making that play now, but I think they're rolling it back.
All right, so we close with the NFL. And I didn't want to do this one because it's just a can of worms I hesitated to open, but it keeps coming up, both with what Justin May calls the national talking heads on the mothership of this station and just on social media in general. Buy or sell, because it came out this week that Kirk Cousins will go back on the negotiating table basically after the season, March of 24, it sounded like. Buy or sell that you can even see a scenario where he is the Vikings quarterback beyond this year.
Oh, buy, 100%.
Really?
Because they have no plan, man. But, I mean, the Hall kid will have to really... I mean, is it possible that Brock Purdy strikes twice? Sure. But how many times prior to Brock Purdy has it struck? 0. I mean, you can say Tom Brady. Sure. He was a 5th-round pick. And so is Hall. Is it possible? Sure. Is he a great story? Yeah. We're going to hear a lot about him. He's fun. But they have no plan for behind Cousins. What it'll take for Kirk Cousins to make a boatload of money is a 3-week injury. When we're running Nick Mullins and or Hall out there and we're getting, made fun of, and all of a sudden his situation is, that good, at some point Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy that people talk about. It'll be Fran Tarkington and Kirk Cousins as the top quarterbacks because he's going to be here so long.
I think it already is, but I'll tell you what, your logic there almost made me change my mind because I'm going to sell. And here's why. I agree with you that they don't have a plan as of June 17th at 10 minutes to noon. I think either throughout the course of this season, maybe throughout the course of something before it starts, or if this season goes awry, you're going to see a plan develop. Whether that's going to be having a bad season and drafting high enough to have a plan, or making some sort of Trey Lance or some other, he's a quarterback that hasn't done much yet deal. I just think if they wanted Kirk to be the quarterback of the future, they would have done this already. The thing that I can't get past is I don't know that they'll kick the can down the road 1 year at a time, 1 year at a time, 1 year at a time.
Yep.
So when they say the future, they talk about 2, 3, 4 years. Kirk Cousins is 34. You're not into the future with a guy that age. You don't have in Kirk Cousins the next Tom Brady, where 40-plus Kirk Cousins is going to be alluring to you. And I like Kirk Cousins more than most people. But the future's kind of already happened. If you were going to extend him, you would have already done it. You haven't. You haven't flat out told him to hit the bricks, but you're basically doing it.
we've always talked about the next quarterback for the Vikings is going to be the old Green Bay Packer quarterback, right? Next year,
that would drive me nuts.
Next year, could that be Jordan Love? Because he's younger and it would present kind of a plan. But if he's free agent, that means he was awful.
Don't you think, love him or hate him, that Trey Lance finds a way here?
I think it's going to be Trey Lance or the other Jet quarterback. I could see
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Oh, hide your moms.
Well, that's true, but if he's learning under Rodgers for a year and they have a decent relationship, and he's not ever, I don't think, going to be the Jets quarterback again, I could see that happening. I could see I could see Kevin O'Connell saying, I can work with that attitude.
It will be interesting. That's buy or sell. Thanks for working with us through that one. Meanwhile, Justin May unable to be here, but that's our fault. But again, he's our guy with buy or sell. He's our realtor at Messina & Associates. Give him a call at 218-310-9559. If you need his listings, just log on to mzr.com. You can find them all there. And Justin May, he does a heck of a job talking about mechanicals, talking about the trends in the housing market. We hope to certainly have him on location. He said he'd be there at Hoopla next weekend. So we'll pay homage to everybody we missed this week, next week. No phones, but plenty to talk about. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook, stick around. We'll be right back. This is the Northland Sports Page. Happy Grandma's Marathon Day, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Paul Allen. You're listening to the Northland Sports Page with Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook, and Topher Davis. Skol.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Old Vikings.
Welcome back to the Northland Sports Page on the big running day in Duluth. Grandma's Marathon Saturday. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook, glad you're with us. We're sticking around until 12:30. We hope that you will too. A little running with the devil. You'll notice everything musically has had a running theme to it. I'll tell you this, as much as I like the Urban 5K, if I was doing 26.2, the devil'd have to be involved in some way. I don't think I could do it.
100%. The marathoners, God bless you. There's so much discipline and so much time and training that goes into that. We started with individual achievements in sport. I would guess for 99% of the people here finishing today is their achievement.
I was going to say, if you cross the finish line, no matter the race this weekend, you are at the top of that list in individual feats.
100%. And by the way, I need to congratulate my boss, Randy Bach. His week included 2 grandkids and the Grandma's Marathon today. So that's a week.
That's getting it done.
Yep, that's a week.
That's like in October of 2013 for me, I got married and then started a brand new job 4 days later. And I think we moved into a new house not terribly long after. And a lot of my friends said, you just like to get everything done at once, don't you?
Yeah, that was awful, Brian, because I kept going to the other house to pick you up for the show.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Maybe that's when we should have started a half an hour later, because that would have served us well.
Yep.
We did pretty well getting around town today. You never know with Grandma's Weekend what's traffic going to be like. Now, we weren't in the areas that are probably worse than expected. We did okay.
Yeah, I think we did. I think that, again, we talked about this to start. This community gets it. And so there's nobody trying to be, I'm going to get through this because I got to get there.
Right.
It's like, all right, well, the marathon's going on, so hit 4th.
This community is incredible in terms of support, and this show is no exception. We get a lot of community business support. We like to support them in return. We'd like to tell you about our sponsors.
Absolutely. We just got done talking about, buy or sell and going back to Justin May at Messina & Associates. I don't know about you, Brian, but I see more and more signs going up for houses for sale. So this might be the time to get involved. And Justin's the place to go. It's Justin May at Messina & Associates. He is one of our big sponsors. Also, Kraus Heating and Cooling, your Carrier HVAC authorized dealer in our region. They carry Carrier, Brian. Advantage Emblem and Screen Printing, Sammy's Pizza, the Blackwoods Group at London Road, Proctor, 2 Harbors, the Blackwater right downtown here, and Tavern on the Hill, Avenue 45, the Mall Royal Bottle Shop, Stewart's Bike Sports and Trophies, Famous Dave's up in Hermantown now, Kohler Toyota and Kohler Hyundai, Arola Architecture Studio, Hoops Brewing, and OAR Holdings.
So thankful for each of them and our newest sponsor just in their second week. That's Comfort Systems. Simply sign up for a service appointment right now with Comfort Systems. You can do it online at ComfortSystemsDuluth.com. All you need to do is mention that you heard it right here on the Northland Sports page. You will receive $20 off the cost of that appointment. Could be a furnace cleaning, could be something checking on appliances, fireplaces, ovens. Those are some of the common appointments that they run across. Schedule one with them. Tell them that the Northland Sports page was part of it. You can do that again online at ComfortSystemsDuluth.com. I laugh every time because it does feel like tell them Brian sent you. But if you do, or tell them Dave sent you, either one of us, $20 off. Not a bad deal.
Yeah, it sort of is that, Brian. I don't know if we've had that before. That's kind of cool.
It is. We'll find out how much business they're doing or if our names carry any clout negatively or positively.
Nice.
Speaking of positive, we talked about Vegas being the Stanley Cup champion. Wanted to talk to Topher Davis about that because we know what a big deal in this community Hermantown hockey can be.
Yeah.
And Hermantown hockey, when their alums do just about anything, social media can have a tendency to blow up, right?
Yep, 100%.
Well, did you know with as many Hermantown products that are in the NHL that they had one in the Stanley Cup Finals this week?
No, because, all of them play in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg wasn't there.
That is correct. But social media has plenty of clout.
All right.
Especially if you are one Topher Davis. So TNT was taking tweets from fans, and Topher tweeted, I hope @Keeper of the Cup has been resting up because he's in for one wild evening when it became apparent that the Stanley Cup was going to reside in Vegas. Well, as we talked about in the opening segment, the powers that be on the TNT broadcast said, you know what, that's a good one. We'll go ahead and plaster it up on a national TV screen. And Topher Davis, as if Mr. L.A. needed any more fame, he got it.
He got a little spotlight on him.
Yeah, right?
Yep, he's on the Walk of Fame.
Again, I think it's
now.
the Hollywood vibe. I think they already knew him.
I think that's probably great. Nothing says Hollywood like Topher Davis.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to ask him about is when he was local, he was a country club guy. He was Ridgeview's finest. And the U.S. Open is happening this weekend, I believe, at L.A. Country Club. How is he not there? I know he couldn't make the show because of our phone issue, but I just figured he'd be busy with that.
So, I'm not like golf-aholic follower guy, right? But the little bit I've listened to, it sounds like this course is one, it's kind of really exclusive. It's beyond exclusive.
Sounds like it's playing easily, though.
Yeah, but it sounds like something that is worth talking about, just the course itself, because nobody's really allowed to go.
Well, and that's something I did want to talk to him about, too, because, again, the opening round had some really, really low scores. And we talk about this with so many of the four major sports. Do you like to go see a pitcher's duel? Do you like to see home run derby? We talk about it with hockey. Do you like fire wagon hockey? Or do you like goalies on display? I think I know which one Topher would pick there, being that he was a goalie. But with golf, you and I don't follow. Really just flat out, we don't care that much. But are people more interested when people are shooting high 50s, low 60s? Or are you more interested when it's more relatable because they're churning their way to 2 or 3 over, and you can do that in your own rounds?
Yeah, I kind of like to see people overcome, right? And so when they are golfing, if they are having to go up and down a little bit and stay on the fairway and grind through it, that's when you get to see their talent level too, right? Because all of us, people that have golfed in the past like I did, we've been in the rough. We know what that means, but you see these superstars in it, how they just handle it. It's the one thing for me that makes it a little more difficult to follow because my experience with it's a long, long time ago.
Right.
Where with the other sports, the experiences are still closer than that. And, you can see that play develop or you can see that pitch coming or what it took to throw that one. With golf, it's a little more difficult.
Right. And then the other thing with Topher I wanted to discuss was his favorite Grandma's Marathon memory because he's been so involved in community events in a different way. I know the inline marathon is more his baby, but Grandma's means a lot too. He sent us a picture of when he did do radio coverage for us, and it was quite funny because, he's walking around with every piece of equipment strapped to him to do that segment. So I'll ask you, even as a non-participant, do you have a Grandma's Marathon memory that sticks out for you?
Not really. The Grandma's Marathon memories for me are volunteer stuff.
Sure.
Right? And again, not me, because that's not something that I've done either, but to live vicariously through other people who this is their thing. Like, their summer's planned around volunteering at the marathon. It's one of the reasons that this weekend for me is so amazing. And the runners, God bless you, you have so much bigger part in this. But the community just revolves around this event. And so memories for me are people just this is their thing. They volunteer at grandma's. They have Christmas, they have Thanksgiving, and they volunteer at grandma's. And I think that says so much about them as individuals and the community.
I wonder if I can talk my in-laws into that when it comes to holidays. Let's just have Christmas, Thanksgiving, and then we'll all volunteer at grandma's if we could save a lot of other gatherings. But I digress. My mother-in-law is not listening, so I hope I can say that.
Right, or she's now listening with just one eye staring at the radio.
So I'll give you one marathon memory for me that probably wouldn't have come up if not for something your wife said to me on the way here today. So you are planning a memorial for your dad's passing for, folks that couldn't make it this winter out in Arizona, and winter's just tougher, so you've got one coming up. Yep. And Dana's been asking for addresses of various folks, and you've come through me for a few of them, and she joked with me about how many people I know and said, when are you going to run for mayor because you know everybody? And I laughed and said, I don't think I want that job, and I don't know as many people as you think. But one of my marathon memories, and this is just the marathon, I have 5K memories from participating, but just the marathon was the first year that I moved into the Chateau on London Road. And that's on the course. So you get a notice on your apartment door that, you're basically not going to be able to leave tomorrow because you can't get out on the street, you can't get out of the parking lot, what have you. But the good news is pull up a chair and go ahead and sit in the front and we all watch, and it's a bonding experience for the folks that live here. Well, okay, the Chateau is a much older demographic than I was at that time, and for the most part still is. But I went down there, I grabbed a chair out of my living room, brought it down, plopped it on the lawn, and watched the marathon. Well, to your wife's thought of, a lot of people, I knew a lot of participants who weren't necessarily elite runners, so they would run by and have time to give me an out of breath, hey, Brian, how you doing? And a lot of people would say hello or wave or smile. And the other people that lived in my building eventually looked at me about halfway through and said, who are you? That every other person knows you, so for a day I felt like the cool guy in the apartment.
The king of Duluth. Yeah,
right.
I'm not the mayor, but I am the king. No, the one running memory that I have is when Ted Keefe was going to run the marathon, because he worked so incredibly hard to do it, and Ted, God bless him, has a very happy soul, and so I always was teasing him about it, but just again, living vicariously through the effort and the run, that's probably my running memory.
Absolutely. We used this song twice, but there are a lot of things that have kept us running today. We're going to keep running for a couple more segments. We are past the noon hour. We'll go till about 12:30. When we come back, a polarizing topic, literally. Who's more scrutinized? Who's more polarizing? Karl Anthony Towns, Kirk Cousins, or Rocco Baldelli? We've addressed each. We'll address all three together when we come back. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook with the Northland Sports Page. Stick around.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
How do you blame a guy who's given a spreadsheet versus a guy like, again, Tom Kelly, who managed on guts and guile and what he thought was going to happen? Okay, if he's making mistakes, that's on him because he's following something else. But like you said, it's got to be above him because he's following the script.
Again, we're talking about who's the most polarized, who's the most scrutinized player or coach in this situation. I want to apologize to our listeners. There was a hard stop, if you will, normally at the noon hour that kicked us back to Fox Sports. I tried to go beyond that. I appreciate a listener letting me know that, hey, you guys aren't on, and with the click of a button, we're back on. So you missed about 10 minutes of great banter there.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
So they didn't get the Karl Anthony Towns bit about how, he deserves what he gets because of his antics on the floor, but you have to remember that off the floor, Karl Anthony Towns is more than a model citizen. But on the floor, does he deserve for acting like a kid that never got disciplined when he was younger? Sure. Rocco, he's like, you tease me about my enjoyment of professional wrestling, right?
Because I like movies too.
Because they're following a script. And it's similar to what Rocco does. Rocco's given, okay, in this case, you've got guys here and here, this is what you do. And so what Rocco sits in his office and they ask questions that involve deep thinking, and he hasn't had to really deep think. He's got parameters he has to work around. So if somebody says, why did you take out Sonny Gray, in that situation, it's number 6 on the list for the day. Well, that's because according to this and that, looking at this spreadsheet, that's when you do it. And how do you get, it's frustrating,
right?
But is it his issue? I don't know.
So again, we've kind of recapped, and again, apologies to the listeners that they missed a bulk of this because there was some good criticism and, quite frankly, analysis of both Towns, Baldelli, and a little bit of Kirk, but we just kind of put Kirk at the top because of where the NFL is and where the contract is and where the position is. But not unlike Kirk, Rocco has become a narrative. Towns is different, again, because of where we live. We talk hockey in a different light here because of where we live, and that, to me, sometimes is at the detriment of basketball. Karl Anthony Towns should be talked about a lot. The state as a whole doesn't care enough. Reputationally, the Wolves have earned that not caring. People are ready to be done with Karl Anthony Towns, whether they should or shouldn't be.
Thing is that Karl Anthony Towns deserves the lack of scrutiny because he's a good human being.
Right.
Like, if he was an ass...
But how much are we focused on quality of character versus quality of result?
But it's the reason that he is not... He's given heat for the behavior on the court, but it's really tough to dislike the human being. And
Agreed.
so I think he gets extra love because of it.
But I still look at result and I say, Adrian Peterson, the human, meh, we loved him. Randy Moss, the human, back then, meh, we loved him.
Yeah, no, that's true as well.
The team with the love boat, huge meh, but we rooted for him.
I do think it's something, though, to sit back, and we talked about this initially. It is something to consider that there's nobody on the Wild here.
Yeah.
Like, we don't talk about Billy G. We don't talk about... we talk about the head coach a little.
We talked about this. It's the different view. It's the unconditional love.
No, I get it. Well, we'll finish this up in a minute.
We will talk about it a little bit more, but I want to spend the last few minutes talking about a tweet I saw last night. And I had already had somewhat of a brutal evening, and it was the wrong time to see said tweet. Stick around. We'll be right back. Back on the Northland Sports Page, final segment. Congratulations to everybody that went the distance this weekend, no matter the race. Hopefully your speed was good. Grandma's Marathon weekend. Final segment on a late start, on a day that had phone issues, on a day that had internet issues, on a day that had National Fox Sports issues. We made it. It's our finish line.
Looks like we made it.
We wouldn't make it anywhere without our sponsor.
Famous Dave's, Stewart's Bike Sports and Trophies, Mall Royal Bottle Shop, Avenue 45, the Blackwoods Group, including Tavern on the Hill, Blackwater, the Two Harbors location, Proctor, and London Road. Sammy's Pizza, Advantage Emblem Screen Printing, Krause Heating and Cooling, Your Carrier, HVAC Authorized Dealer, Justin May, Messina and Associates, OAR Holding, Hoops Brewing, Kohler Toyota and Kohler Hyundai, Famous Dave's, and Arola Architecture Studio.
And last but certainly not least, just the newest Comfort System. Sign up for a service appointment online and mention you heard it right here on the Northland Sports Page. ComfortSystemsDuluth.com is where you can do that, and you will receive $20 off your service appointment, whether that be a furnace cleaning, something with appliances, fireplaces, ovens, whatever the time of year calls for. Take care of that with Comfort Systems, and we will take care of drawing lines, courtesy of Arola Architecture Studio, to close the show. And I just want to say this. First of all, I'm tremendously looking forward to tomorrow. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Kudos to your kids for letting me borrow their father. We're going to honor ours together at Target Field tomorrow.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a big deal. This is Father's Day number 1 without father. So we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely correct. So last night, I was having a bit of a rough night in a lot of what they say first world problem ways. Nobody should feel bad for me for any of this. So my day job, has been a grind where you feel like, maybe my skill sets aren't really being utilized. You've talked about, you can relate to that a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. So then work is done. Order some dinner. Have a tomato allergy. Put that in big bold letters with 17 exclamation points on my order. My food arrives littered with tomatoes. Get to throw it all away. Obviously not super happy. Then the Twins lose. Not just losing, but basically no showing. I'm just bitter. I go to walk a couple miles and it's an angry walk. And most of that was probably the Twins' fault, but it's combo platter. I get home and I see this tweet. And when I first see this tweet, I thought, geez, this guy's got me figured out. The tweet says this: a lot of men are obsessed with sports because they've completely given up on their own lives, and the closest thing they'll ever get to success is watching someone else achieve it. And I thought, the obsession I have with sports has me angry tonight. The other things that have gone wrong in my life today, albeit first world, has me angrier. maybe this person has some accuracy. Then I thought about it. Couldn't be more wrong. Your thoughts?
I think it's that's an interesting thing because it's obviously somebody that rolls their eyes at sports. Because you could say the same thing about baking shows. You could say the same thing about politics, and if you really want to stretch it a little bit,
right?
That people
anything that you're obsessed with that isn't life altering.
100%. So I think that's kind of as Dave Hoops would say, a little weak sauce.
Right. So what I did was I quote tweeted it and gave my own response. I said there might be some logic here because there's no doubt I've been in a worse mood than I should because of a sporting event result. But I also said overall this tweet is just awful. Sports has given me what I call success in my own eyes. It's given me friends of all ages. We love the kids how much. It's given me a universal icebreaker in social situations. Did you see the game last night? Somebody did. It's given me a second career, what we're doing right now. It's given me an increased vocabulary. My mom gets upset because I do better at Wordle than she does. When she says, I've never heard that word before, I say, I used it on the show 2 weeks ago. And it's given me that incredible forever bond with my father, my grandfather, both of whom are not here, my brother-in-law, my uncle, my mom, everybody. Sports is so important.
Well, it's universal. I mean, that's the thing. And frankly, even the people that don't like it, it'll help you draw a conversation out. I mean, the answer to why or what do you like about it or what causes you not to like it.
Right.
I mean, those are all... I mean, it's why you and I can have a funny conversation about professional wrestling.
Right.
Right? Because
and how many times have we used it as our proverbial leather couch? This, that, and this have gone wrong, but the show's coming up and we'll talk for 2 hours and we'll feel better.
Practically weekly.
Right. So basically what we're saying is, yes, do all of us, and myself maybe number one with a bullet, need to learn to not have your mood gauged by the outcome of a game? I'm still working on that at age 44 plus. But to say that I'm obsessed with sports because I hate everything else about my own life couldn't be more false.
That's pretty harsh. Can you imagine where that comes from as far as that person's mind?
No question. I don't want to be part of that. But I was very happy to be part of this show today. We definitely hit some bumps along the way, but we crossed the finish line. And again, congratulations to everybody who did that in any race this weekend. Have yourself a blast for the rest of the weekend. I will see you tomorrow. It's going to be fun.
Yes, it'll be fun. Brian, imagine on a race day where you said there's bumps in the road and we're talking about the city of Duluth. We'll fill some potholes next week. We'll be good to go.
Absolutely. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We appreciate everything that you do. I know mine's not physically with me anymore, but never doubt the legacy that you leave your kids ever. Have a great rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you next time. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook. We are the Northland Sports Page. Thanks for being here. Have a great Marathon Saturday.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.